All right, Pickle. It's Thursday here in the off season, and on Thursday we like to celebrate Dumb Thursday.
Dumb Thursday.
Texas Football Today is proud to present Dumb Thursday.
It's Dumb Thursday here on Texas Football Today. And what we're going to talk about is the XFL. Did you watch any of the XFL last week?
No.
Okay.
I was working.
Even though there are three Texas teams.
I did see that San Antonio had about 22,000 fans, which over doubled every other XFL fan base of the entire nation.
Yes. San Antonio, Houston, and Arlington all have teams. And so, you know, if that's your thing, if you're looking for, if you just are jonesing for some football, you can watch it. And there's a fair number of guys that you will recognize. For example, I watched, I think it's the Las Vegas quarterback is Luis Perez, our friend
nice.
from A&M Commerce. So you will see some guys. And then I saw, Quentin Dormady, the former Bernie quarterback, was out there slinging it for one of the teams as well. So if we want to lock in, get a little football in your life, XFL, you can do worse than that.
Mm-hmm. I think it's also a good way to go see a football game live in person. That if you have kids or and you can't afford to go to a Cowboys game or a Texans game.
I would imagine. I haven't checked.
I think anybody can afford to go to a Texans game. I think tickets are like $1, but that's besides the point.
I think they pay you to go to.
Yeah, that's the one random case.
Yeah, I mean, there is a cost. But I want to talk about the XFL and what they're doing differently. So I'm old enough to remember XFL 1.
Oh, my.
Back in 2001, I want to say, 2001, which was a pretty calamitous disaster. And there's a great documentary that ESPN put together about it called This Was the XFL that kind of talk a lot like, they talked to all the people involved. It was a Vince McMahon joint, and it was really like, not to get too far into it, professional wrestling was super hot then, super hot. And so they tried to like mesh professional wrestling and football, and like it just didn't work.
Yeah, I don't feel like over-the-top promotional type stuff like wrestling would work well with a football community.
It was like, and because I just think, for me, this is me, I think wrestling fans don't want football in their wrestling, and football fans don't want wrestling in their football. It's like, well, just keep them separated. They're both great. Like, we can just do them different.
We can enjoy them separately.
So they brought it back in 2020, and it seemed like it was going okay in 2020 until COVID happened, and it just killed the league.
Right.
Like, they got, I want to say 3 or 4 games in, and then everything shut down.
And it was really successful those first couple of games. There was a lot of buzz.
It was, I think and part of it I think was certainly that like everyone was expecting it to just faceplant again.
Yeah.
And so the expectations were really low. And so when it was pretty good, I think they were like, oh, hey, look at this.
Mm-hmm. They also went in with a massive budget. Like, that helped, too.
They had a ton of money, and then basically, when they stopped playing games, like, they went bankrupt. Mm-hmm. So, if you didn't know, The Rock, to bring it full circle to wrestling again.
I love him.
Dwayne Johnson is a co-owner of the XFL.
Mm-hmm. Who's the lady? The lady's the other
I've seen her
owner.
a lot.
I can't remember
I will look
what her
that
name
up.
is.
But they are doing one of the things that I think is interesting. So needless to say, Patrick Mahomes is not playing in the XFL.
What?
Right? And so if there's 52-man rosters across the NFL and there's 32 teams, right? And this is not counting practice squad guys who are known that. That means that at best you are not going to get the top 1,664 football players, professional football players, right?
That's a lot.
Right? So we're talking. Let's be real about the quality of player. Mm-hmm. This is, in my opinion, I'm not trying to be rude. It's pretty clearly just second tier football. Yeah. You know what I mean? Second tier professional football, just because the best players are playing in the NFL. But that doesn't mean it's not fun. And I think that one of the things that they've done well is that they've said we are going to use the XFL as a way to try things.
Yeah.
We're going to try to be different. We're going to try to innovate. And I think the NFL and college football, and maybe high school football, would be well intentioned to pay attention to the XFL and some of the things that they're doing, because I think that they feel like, hey, you know what? The stakes are a little bit lower because the money is not as high. So we can try things. And if it doesn't work, then we can kill it for next year or something like that. And so there are 4 in particular things that I want to talk about that I think that I want to kick around as to whether or not it should be implemented in other forms of football, okay?
Okay.
First of all, let's talk about the overtime rules. Are you familiar with the XFL overtime
I am
rules?
not.
Okay. The XFL overtime rules are essentially NHL shootouts.
Ooh.
Okay? So what it is that you get 3 2-point conversion attempts at the 5-yard line. 5-yard line. You get 3 2-point conversion attempts alternating back and forth.
All
Just
right.
like if you've ever seen an NHL shootout,
Yeah.
you've got 3 shooters, and then at the end of the 3 shooters, whoever has the most goals wins the shootout and wins the game. Same thing there. You alternate back and forth on 2-point conversions. After that, then it goes, you alternate single possessions.
I like that.
It's interesting because
How
I
long
think,
does that usually well, I mean, I
So
guess
it's-
we don't know.
So it's three
But like I'm talking like actual time. Like how many
that's a good question. I
how
don't know.
long cuz that's one of those things. It's like we're already talking about
my
shortening
guess-
college football.
I'll say this. I bet it is shorter than the classic college football overtime.
Right. Yeah, no, and I would think so too. I would be interested to know, I don't know how much time in between.
I don't know how many times they've used it. They
Yeah,
may not
how
have
many
used-
times have
Yeah.
or how much time is there a minute in between each one that you have to be set up and ready to go by the time
My
you
guess
know?
is that
2 minutes?
They run the play, right? They go and they spot the ball, and then the play clock starts.
Yes.
40 seconds for the other teams to get out there and get set for the other ones. That would be my guess.
Yeah, and that'll make it go much quicker.
I bet that goes much quicker.
But yeah, if they're giving like 2 minutes in between each one, that's going to extend that time out a
So
lot.
really what it does, I think that, essentially what you're doing is you are taking the third overtime of college football, which is just a 2-point conversion, and you're making the whole plane out of it, but you're making it not sudden death.
Yes.
You're making it, essentially, if you get 2, I imagine if you get 2 out of 3, you probably feel like you're going to win, right? So, I don't know. I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's worth exploring because I know that everyone hates the NFL college. Like, the NFL cannot win on their overtime rules.
No.
They can't.
No.
Like, every time they tried to change it,
It's a nightmare.
everyone complains.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think they should really consider that. I think it's interesting. All right. So, now let's talk about 3-point tries and extra points. Okay, let's talk about extra points. Okay. So, they don't let you kick extra points. There's no kicking extra points.
Okay.
Okay.
That loses 32 different positions in the NFL.
That's one. Well, no, they still kick off and stuff. We'll get to kickoffs
Yeah.
here in a moment.
Yeah, but I mean sometimes that's different.
There's no extra points. There are field goals, but
Okay.
there's no extra points. That if you score, you can either go for 1, 2, or 3.
Okay.
Okay. If you go for 1, you go from the 2-yard line, which is the standard 2-point conversion in the NFL. If you go for 2, you're at the 5-yard line. If you go for 3, you're at the 10-yard line.
I love it.
It does seem strange to me that in the NBA has the 3-point shot, right? It does seem strange to me that there's only the
One way to get a field goal.
Yeah,
that's
it's like
the only
2
way.
they're football scoring is relatively limited. Do you know what I mean? Like as far as the ways that you can score. I don't know.
I wonder if they could make it to where if you are in
I think
I
it
don't
opens
know.
the game up, certainly. The ability to go for 3. And so if you're down 9,
Yeah.
it's a 1-score game. Right?
Yeah.
Theoretically, it's a 1-score game. If you're down 18, it's a 2-score game. Right? I mean,
it's funny.
those
I
things
wonder
matter.
if they could do a. I mean, I guess you could just choose. That would be dumb. I was gonna say in the going a step further, not just counting this as an extra point opportunity, but I wonder if you could extend the NFL thing to if you're anywhere outside the 10-yard line, you have to kick a field goal if you want to go for it.
Yeah.
Or if you're inside the 10-yard line, you could opt to do like an extra play, like get a fifth down basically to go for 3. Now, everyone at that point would kick it, but it would be cool.
Interesting. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. The tiered extra point thing is certainly very interesting.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay. Because I also think we should get kicking out of.
You hate kickers.
I don't hate kickers.
You hate
I just
kickers.
like.
Greg Tepper hates kickers.
I don't hate kickers. I just feel like people don't watch football for kicking.
I just feel like we shouldn't have kickers.
That's
I
not
don't
what I'm
hate
saying.
them. I just feel
Not
like we
what I'm
shouldn't
saying.
have them.
Not what I'm saying.
I love kickers.
The double forward pass. All right. You can throw. So let's say we're playing in the NFL or at high school football or anywhere.
Okay.
And I'm the quarterback. You're the running back. And you flare out to I'm the shotgun. You flare out to the right.
Mm-hmm.
You're 2 yards in front of me, but you're still behind the line of scrimmage. I complete the pass to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's a forward pass.
Yeah.
Right. You then have to run.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't.
Yeah. You can throw it backwards.
You can throw it backwards, but
you
can't,
cannot throw
can't
it forwards. Or
The
laterally.
XFL says you can throw 2 forward passes on one play if the first one is completed behind the line of scrimmage.
Oh,
so,
okay.
essentially, like I could throw a little swing pass to you.
Yeah.
If you're behind the line of scrimmage, or like a screen to you.
Yep. Yeah, a screen would work.
And then you could throw it again.
Yep.
That's a little too
I don't like
kitschy for me.
Yeah.
It's a little too kind of wild, but I love the innovative nature of it.
There's a.
Because it's gonna work once.
Oh yeah.
And people are gonna be like, "Whoa!" You know what I mean?
Yeah, the times that would go, that would be a massive help would be at the end of game scramble play.
Yeah.
When they're just throwing the ball to everybody.
Right.
And then, other than that, it's like trying to, you know how much pressure that puts on the refs to argue, like, oh yeah, no, his left toe was in front. Like that would work for NFL, but it's like we don't have time to see where his toe was every single time in college football.
Right. So, yeah, I am very interested in seeing how that works out. Okay. There's 2 more I want to talk about. I told you 3. I lied. I mean 4.
You said 4.
I'm sorry. I told you 4. I want to talk about 5.
Ah.
Okay. Now this is something that they carried over from 2020, and I'm going to try to pop it on the screen here. Okay.
Wow.
I want to talk about
the Irish countryside.
I know. I want to talk about kickoffs.
Okay.
Okay. I want to talk about the kickoffs because I think we all agree. Let's see. I'm going to pause that. I think we all like the NFL is trying to make kickoffs safer because they're relatively dangerous. Okay. They're trying to make kickoffs safer. But the way they've done that is basically by making it so that you kick off at the 35 I think it is. And so it's I mean the touchback has got to be astronomical. The number of touchbacks. Basically they want to limit the amount of returns. The XFL wants to maximize the amount of returns but they want to make it safer. So here's what's happening, okay? He's kicking off from the 30. His blockers are up here on the opposing 35.
Mm-hmm.
And the return guys can line up at the 30. So watch what happens here. Okay? He's going to kick it. Now that's wild to see, right?
Yeah.
But essentially what you're doing is you are eliminating the amount of, and this ends up being a touchdown. That's why there's a highlight of it. But you're giving them a chance to return it, but you are limiting the amount of high velocity.
Yeah, because
collisions.
they couldn't. Both of the lines couldn't go.
No, you're only 5 yards apart
until he caught it.
And then whenever
correct?
he catches it, then you can go.
So I
right?
guess it's still. I mean, as a lot of people are going to say, okay, well, if the punt returner fumbles the ball, that takes the advantage away from the defense. Basically, you're guaranteeing more often than not that they're going to actually catch the ball.
They're going to they're going to catch it on the kickoff because that's a kickoff, not a punt.
It's a guaranteed possession that I think that's what people would have an issue with.
I mean, they can still fumble it.
They can fumble it, but yeah,
I mean?
it's like so every once in a blue moon that could happen. But
I think I love that. Yeah. I love that because the returns are exciting. I think they've identified that people like when there's returns, but they can be dangerous.
Yeah.
And so And the way that they're dangerous is that you've got a guy running from the 35, and he's colliding with a guy who's also running
standing
from the other 30.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're colliding, right?
Well, yeah, or at the times where they don't call fair catch and this massive burly guy is coming down and the guy basically just caught it. I mean, you're getting lit up.
Right. I think that's great. One more I want to talk about. It's onside kicks. Okay? One more I want to talk about onside kicks. So, onside kick, we're all familiar with it. The NFL, I mean, if you didn't know, about 5 years ago, the NFL instituted of some rule changes that you can only have X number of guys on one side of the ball on a kickoff. That basically, again, for safety reasons, because people were getting their blocks knocked off on onside kicks, that they cannot and it's essentially made so that the onside kick the recovery rates have fallen precipitously.
Yeah.
So in the fourth quarter only in the XFL, you can try to convert a 4th and 15. And if you convert a 4th and 15, you get the ball.
All right.
It can be make it, take it, basically.
So is that they instantly go wherever your last down was?
So the onside kicks, you will, let's see. They will so the success rate of the onside kick is only 12 to 13%, right? So you try it from your own 25-yard line, okay? Try it from your own 25-yard line. If you do not get it, then sorry about you. They get the ball at the 25.
Okay.
Right? So it's a big risk, but if you get it, then you get the ball at the 40. Right? And you maintain possession.
Okay.
Right? That I think is
so. It doesn't matter where you are on the field.
No.
They place you there and say you just have to get 15 yards.
You get it from the 25, and you can maintain possession there.
Okay.
Here's an interesting rule. Here's an interesting little thought about this, because this is another carryover from the XFL 2020. This actually went in front of the NFL board owners for a vote. The idea of instead of an onside kick, you can try to convert a 4th and 15. And if you do it, then you get the ball, and if not, then they get the ball at the 25.
Yeah.
But it didn't get enough votes. So the NFL is paying attention to these things, and I think they should. I think it is. Football's great. We can always make it better, and I appreciate people who are trying to innovate.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing. Like for the NFL, they should just be overjoyed about this because they don't have to go out on a whim saying, "No, we really think this is going to work," and then it's clear that it doesn't, or it's like, "No, we're too scared to try that. We're not going to do it." And then it could have been the greatest idea of all time.
I'm sure there are business reasons why they don't do this.
No, yeah.
I'm sure there are. But I'm of the belief that the NFL really does need like a farm system. Mm-hmm. It really does need like a G League, essentially. And this can be the G League and same thing in the minor leagues in baseball. They've tried robot umps. Mm-hmm. They've tried all the different things. They test them out there before bringing them to Major League Baseball. Mm-hmm. For example, to get into baseball for a moment, one thing you may notice this year is that the bases are going to be slightly bigger this year. They're going to be slightly bigger, about 3 inches bigger, I think on each side. That has been tried in the minor leagues. The pitch clock, which is now in Major League Baseball, was tried in the minor leagues. I think the NFL would be smart to consider what the XFL is doing, and I'm not saying make them an official, feeder league, but there's a lot of value in having something like that.
Well, I also just think from a marketing perspective a lot, but that's a really good way to grow fans.
Yes.
Exceptionally
fans
good
of football.
way. Yeah, because at that point, you're either going to follow a couple of the players that do end up making it into the big leagues, or you're going to expose young kids to how fun it is to go to games and have all of that marketing side of stuff. I think it's a great idea.
Okay. So there you go. There is your look at Dumb Thursday, what other leagues can learn from the XFL.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you would like more and to be notified when they come out, go ahead and click that subscribe button right down there. You can also watch Texas Football Today every day live at noon on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, and right here on YouTube. For more of the best coverage of Texas football in the Lone Star State, go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe.